Skinny Hardaway Southern T, back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. We talk this good MMA, boxing, sports, parlays, predictions every single day, not just today. And at the end of this video, we're going to do Dana White Contender Series fight picks and prediction as well. So make sure you stay tuned after the UFC picks for the Contender Series picks. The Contender Series picks last week, we hit. We went 3 out of 2, but the picks that I told you guys to bet on, all of those hit, right? So the Contender Series fight parlay did hit. You know what I mean? So, our picks and our bets are different things, right? So I digress. All right, and in this EP, we got UFC Fight Night Shanghai. If I'm not mistaken, we got MingYang versus Walker. I also got a few more fights that I'm looking forward to seeing on this card. We got an Aljamain Sterling sighting. We got a Michael Pereira sighting, right? So I'm excited to see those guys fight. Not go waste too much more of y'all time. We're going to go and get into this fight breakdown. We're going to keep the main thing the main thing. We're going to start with the main event. We will predict every card on this. We will predict every fight on this card, but we're going to start with the main event. We got MingYang versus Walker. I do think this is going to be an exciting fight. That's the first thing I want to say. MingYang is a massive favorite in this fight, and I see why. Because, just like the minus 500 that's on MingYang, I don't necessarily trust the chin of Johnny Walker. I do think Johnny Walker is better at submissions in this fight than MingYang. Can he get it to the ground? Both of these guys leave a lot to be desired with their defense. Johnny Walker, don't know if I called him Johnny Eblin. I hope I didn't. I got PTSD for that Johnny Eblin loss like a few weeks back. But Johnny Walker, I do edge him in the submission game. Can he get it to the ground, though? Johnny Walker likes to strike himself. So I really just, imagine Johnny Walker coming out here, standing up and trying to strike with MingYang. And I think that's where the demise of Johnny Walker will come from. I got MingYang in this fight by knockout. Think he'll be knocking out Johnny Walker in this fight. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I think it's going to be mostly predominantly a stand-up fight. I just don't trust the chin of Johnny Walker. MingYang's defense leaves a lot to be desired as well. He will block a punch with his face, with his head every now and again. Right? Johnny Walker does have that power, so there is that method of, Johnny Walker maybe catching him, but I think MingYang is the much better striker on the feet. I think this fight is going to be mostly standing, so I got MingYang for the knockout win over Johnny Walker. You could take MingYang on the money line. You could take MingYang by knockout. Want a little value, maybe you go MingYang 1 or 2, right? But MingYang for the win, and it's probably by knockout. All right, next fight, we got Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. These are two of, my favorite fighters. Two fighters I've been watching for a long time. Got a lot of respect for Brian Ortega and his style. Aljamain Sterling, it was great. Ortega has been in a rough spot as of late over his last couple spots, right? It's been hard for him to find wins. He has been facing like the best of the best, and he has another tough test in Aljamain Sterling. But I will say this. I think this test is kind of more so up Brian Ortega's alley, right? He got a guy that he's smaller than, and he has a guy who isn't the most menacing striker. Aljamain Sterling can strike. Probably strikes better than Brian Ortega, right? But he's not the most menacing striker. Aljamain Sterling wants to wrestle and use his submissions and ground game, as does Ortega, right? Ortega's striking never really developed. Aljamain Sterling's striking has developed some. I edge Aljamain in the striking on the ground and submissions. I think it's about what and what. Ortega's going to be the bigger guy. Aljamain, I think, still is able to find takedowns in this. I think Aljamain is able to land, some kicks at range as well. If he is forced to strike with Brian Ortega, I think he could still win it, although I'm much more comfortable with Aljamain Sterling on the ground. I think Aljamain Sterling is basically going to out-wrestle and grapple Brian Ortega in this fight. But it being the wrestler and grappler does give Ortega a chance to get off their losing streak. But I am going to go with Aljamain Sterling. I'm going to go Aljamain Sterling points decision in this fight, and what I would call medium confidence pick, Aljamain Sterling. I think it's going to be a pretty, gritty fight, though. or a boring
All
wrestling
right,
match,
next fight, pretty exciting fight. We gonna speed this up a little bit because we got a few fights to talk about. We got Pavlovich versus Waldo Acosta. I'm gonna go Waldo Acosta back to back for underdog wins. I think this is going to be a striking match. I think Pavlovich is more powerful with his strikes, but I think Acosta is going to be really fast, really quick. As long as Acosta doesn't gas, I think he'll be able to jab Pavlovich to a victory. So I am going to roll with Acosta in this as a dog pick. Low to medium confidence. It's a dog, play it by itself on the single. The next fight, we got Naraji versus Kevin Borhos. I'm going to go with the underdog, Kevin Borhos, in this. I think this fight is close enough to where either guy really could win. I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. You got two kickboxers. We got a kickboxer and a Muay Thai guy. Right, I think Naraji, he has a height and a reach advantage, right? So Borhos is going to be giving up some size, but I think Borhos has more striking tools in the tool bag, and I think he has slightly more power. So I'm going to go with the underdog pick, Kevin Borhos, in this low to mid confidence. All right, next fight, get your popcorn. We got Naraji versus Crosby. Crosby is a boxer. Naraji is a striker himself. This fight will be fought on the feet. I got Naraji to probably knock out Crosby. Matter of fact, I got Naraji to knock out Crosby. High confidence. Naraji wins this pick. Probably by KO. In the next fight, we got Mashante versus Gage Young. I think this is going to be a close fight either way. I'm going to go with Gage Young. Both these guys are predominantly strikers, but Gage Young does have the wrestling, grappling option in his bag. So I'm going to favor Gage Young. If the the closer, the more sticky, the more close quarters the fight is, it's advantage Gage Young. Mashante has a little bit of a reach and a height advantage, so if he can keep this fight mid to long range, then he very well could, maybe pick Gage Young apart. But I think Gage Young's going to be on the inside, make it kind of dirty. I think he'll mix in, a little wrestling a little bit. I think Gage Young wins with his dirty boxing and a little bit of wrestling, scores a couple takedowns. Gage Young for the win. Next fight, we got Johnson versus Kavanaaugh. This is going to be another extremely close fight. I would say this. Charles Johnson, he can strike, he could wrestle, and he could grapple. If Charles Johnson solely decides to strike with Kavanagh, then I think he loses. But I think Charles Johnson is going to mix in the grappling with his striking, right? I think he's probably going to try to backpack Kavanagh, something like that. I think he's going to have a wrestling approach in this fight. And I got Charles Johnson pulling out the underdog victory in this fight versus Kavanagh. It could be a Charles Johnson bias, but I'm rolling with Charles Johnson to get this win. What I think is going to be a close fight. Totally understand if you want to take Kavanagh from Charles Johnson, low confidence dog. Next fight, we got Rungzai versus Hubert. Rungzai. Hope I'm not messing it up. I got Rungzai in this fight. I think he has a striking edge in this fight. Hubert is pretty good all around, right? He's solid all around, but I think Rungzai is the better striker. Hubert is going to want to wrestle in this. At least that's what I'm thinking. If he wrestles, I think he has a better chance. If he chooses to strike, then I think he has almost no chance, right? So I'm going to go with Rungzai in this on the money line, high confidence. I'm guessing Rungzai decision. Next fight, we got Pereira versus Ducas, and I'm a Pereira fan, man. I'm one of the people who thought Pereira may be a champion of the world one day. He still could, right? I'm going to take Pereira in this fight. I think he's much better than Ducas everywhere. Does Ducas even have a UFC win? I think he does, but I got Pereira for this fight. More than likely, Pereira stoppage. There was a point in time where Pereira looked like a monster. He has looked like a monster, actually, in every fight except for, was that his last fight or his fight before last where he took his loss, where he just completely forgot how to strike and grapple. But anyway, I digress. Pereira for the win. Stoppage win. You got Yizza versus Wilson. Short, sweet, to the point. Yizza's going to win. He's minus 1,600 for a reason. Don't waste your time with this fight, right? If Yizza loses this fight, oh Lord. But Yizza should win this fight fairly easy. Yizza's for the win. All right, the next fight we got Yu versus Long. I think this fight is going to be competitive, right? I'm going to hit Yu in this. I think Yu wins with his wrestling. If Long is able to keep the fight standing, then he has a chance. But I think Yu is probably going to dominate this with his wrestling. I'm going to go with Yu here. Medium to low confidence because, still getting to know Yu as a fighter, right? But I believe in the hype. I guess Yu for the win. In this section, I'm going to give y'all a recap of all the picks I just made. And if you're wondering, I got Salty Baldy to win the opening fight, right? So Salty Baldy on the first fight, right? But we got Yu, Yiza, Pereira, Rungzai, Johnson, Young, Naraji, Borhos, Aosta, Sterling, and MingYang. Those are the winners that I picked. All the picks that I just went through, those are the winners. Just to give you a little recap. We about to do in this next section. We're about to go. I'm about to give you my UFC fight parlay, and then we're going to go over the Dana White Contender Series fight picks and picks. Fight picks. All right, and this is my Dana White Contender Series section. My winners are Jimenez, Scott, Delano, Hokett, and Ralston. You could parlay up Jimenez, Scott, and Hokett. Those are my most confident picks. Also, Delano, if you want to throw him in there. If you don't want to take a side, I think that Hokett fight is not going to go the distance for sure. Jimenez, I think, is the better all-around fighter in his fight. I think he's better striking. I think he's better on the ground. His opponent is Gang, though. Dangerous fighter, but Jimenez should be able to get the win. I kind of feel like they're setting Scott up for a win. He's fighting out of that LaRon Murphy camp, right? So he's familiar with the UFC. Scott for the win. Delano is the more tested fighter in his fight. Both of the fighters are experienced. Delano is a lot more tested, so Delano for the win. He's fighting a good fighter as well. And we got Ralston. This will be his second time on a Contender Series, coming off that Torres Finley loss. He's going to be in a pretty good fight that he should win as long as he don't get knocked out. So Jimenez had confidence. Scott had confidence. Delano, mid-confidence. Hokett, mid to high confidence, because Hokett is a lot better than the guy that he's fighting, but Hokett is inexperienced. So is the guy that he's fighting. The guy that he's fighting is predominantly a striker. He has it's either power or anything. As long as Hokett could get the fight to the ground, avoid that big shot, I think he wins pretty smoothly. Cam Ralston's fight, he has that knockout factor going up against him, but I do think he's better all around. As long as he doesn't get knocked out, he should win. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Skin the Hardaway Southern Tea. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking, and I'm out. Love.